Welcome to my magical home. Today we're making a project for my garden. I'm going to show you how to make a simple DIY Olla. This ancient gardening secret has been used for centuries, and it helps to keep your plants happy and hydrated. By using an Olla, you'll save tons of water and money, all while making your garden easier to care for. It's a beautiful, budget-friendly project that's as practical as it is timeless. Let's get started. In order to build these Ollas, we are going to need 2 terracotta pots per Olla, some glue, waterproof silicone sealant, sponges, paint, and a little bit of cardstock, which is the only thing I don't have in my picture here. So now when it comes to your pots, there's a few things that you want to keep in mind. But the number one thing, you need to have unglazed terracotta pots. That is because it is the terracotta clay that they are made of that makes all the magic of these Ollas happen. So when you put water into these and they are in the ground, they only leak the water out when the ground around them is dried up. Otherwise, they just harbor it inside for when it's time for it. So that is one of the reasons that you can save 50 to 80% of the water that you would normally use just watering in traditional manners. So I'm really excited about that if you cannot tell. Another thing that you want to keep in mind, you are going to need 2 terracotta pots to make these Ollas. You're going to do that by putting them on top of each other. So you're going to want to make sure that their circumferences are exactly the same. Now right here I have 2 matching pots that I put on top of each other. But for my larger Ollas, I actually have one that's a little bit bigger with more depth than the other. But they will work out just fine because they have the same circumference. Now the last thing that you want to keep in mind when you're picking your pots is the actual size of the bed or the area that you're going to be putting them in. Now, if you have a really big area that you are hoping to water, you might want to go to a larger Olla like this. Because it harbors more water, you can put them a little bit farther out, and you know that everything's going to get all that moisture that you're looking for. But if you have a smaller space, like for instance, one of my flower beds is a little bit more narrow, I'm going for a smaller Olla, and I'm just going to put 2 instead of 1. And that is because it takes up a little bit less space. What you want to keep in mind when making these, you are actually going to bury these in the ground 90%, maybe even 95%. So you really only want an inch, inch and a half above the ground. All of the rest of this is going to be under. And that is because you want these buried down where the roots of your plants are going to go, because that is going to help to reduce your weeds because you're not doing the surface irrigation. And it's going to make sure that all that wonderful water is going directly to the roots of your plants, which will encourage their growth as well. So those are some things that you definitely want to make sure when picking out your pots for your Ollas. First thing we need to do is cover the bottom of our Ollas. Now we're going to do that by cutting a small circle out of some cardstock and just gluing it to the bottom of our Olla. Once that's dry, we're going to come back in and follow up with that silicone sealant, and we are just going to cover the entire piece of cardstock on the bottom of it as well as the inside. And that is going to help to keep it from molding or having any issues or leaking. All right, so it is time for us to start making these babies. So you are going to start out by taking your 2 pots that you intend to use for your Olla, and you are going to break out your glue. Now make sure that you have something that is equivalent to, I think it's the E6000 or something of that nature. This is the equivalent of Gorilla Glue. I am a huge fan of Gorilla Glue. Like, I love the stuff. I get the tape, I get the hot glue. They don't let me down. Like sometimes other glues just don't come to par. Gorilla Glue always has my back, so I always recommend using them first off. But you are just going to go ahead and take your glue and put it around the edge of your pot. And just take your time. This isn't going to dry in 15 seconds. You want to make sure to not make a mess and just kind of get a good application and make sure that all the spaces are covered so that you have the best seal possible. Now once this is done, we are going to go ahead and add our other matching pot on top and set it aside and go ahead and let them dry. Once they are dry, it is time for us to break out our sealant, which is just another bad boy to help make sure that these are waterproof and all that wonderful water that we're working so hard to put into the ground stays there in our pot until it's time. Now when you are all done with your sealant and your glue, it is time to add just a little bit extra. This part is not completely necessary, but I'm going to tell you why I do it. We are going to be taking a little bit of paint and just adding it onto that top 1.5 inches and the top little part that is going to be exposed to the air. And that is because, especially if you live in an area like I do, like Arizona, that hot sun can actually make your terracotta pots crack and dry out. And just having a little bit of that sealant, like that paint, whatever kind of paint that you're hoping to use, obviously you want to make sure, especially if you're using it in the vegetable garden, that it is non-toxic. I am using a masonry paint for that reason. So it is a specially picked one. And we are going to just kind of get that top layer, making sure that these pots last and endure for a good amount of time.
Really quick, I want to share a tip to make your painting go a little bit easier. So I am using a cake spinner as well as a piece of parchment on top so that I can just spin these to help get the circles all the way around without having to constantly be moving my pots as I'm trying to paint. It seems like something silly, but because I had so many of these I was working on, it really saved me a lot of time.
For the world out, rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea, reach out for me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree. To slow the ride.
My paint is dry and it's time to head out to the garden. We are going to go ahead and place these in the ground, and you want to make sure that the dirt around them goes all the way up to the paint. That helps to make sure that you don't have as much cracking and that things last for quite some time.
Rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Maybe then I can relax. Maybe then I can relax.
Once everything's in the ground, it is time to just bring in your plants and go ahead and keep these watered every time that you go out to water normally, and you will find that your plants are going to do so much better and you're going to save a ton of money and water.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things.
Thanks so much for spending a little time with me today. I hope this project brings some extra magic and ease to your garden. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more cozy homemaking ideas, seasonal inspiration, and a little bit of everyday magic. I'd love to have you here. Until next time, take care and happy gardening.
Golden.